Welcome to Global Information Security Society for Professionals of Pakistan.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Abdullah Mirza. I'm the co-founder and director of DMARC 360. And with me here, मेरे साथ यहाँ Mr. Shahid हैं, Director of Technology.
जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. अब्दुल्ला अभी DMARC के ऊपर जो बेसिक हमारा इसके ऊपर है कि DMARC क्यों ज़रूरी है, क्या एडवांटेज है इसके, किस तरह आपको ये सेटअप करना चाहिए, इसके अंदर किस टाइप की रिपोर्ट्स आती हैं, तो किस तरह एक डोमेन होता है उसको कैसे लेके चलते हैं, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के क्या प्रोसेस होते हैं, SPF को डिस्कस करेंगे, DKIMs को डिस्कस करेंगे, कैसे आपको बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस होते हैं जिनके थ्रू आप इसको DMARC को अपने लिए इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं.
Yes. All right. So I see here in the chat there are some people that would like English because there are some people that don't know Urdu. So I guess I'll jump in the middle between the two. So I'll stick with the English then. Okay. So first of all, again, I would like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to us on the history of email and the concepts of DMARC. Now, before we get into this, I would like to inform you that there's a chat box here where you can post your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go, or we'll address them towards the end of the session. Which is breaking to some extent. Okay. Well, anyway, so since the voice is breaking a little bit, I'll talk a little slower. So to start off, now let's look at some statistics and how much of an impact email fraud really has on cybersecurity. So here you see that email plays a more than 80% role in cyber attacks, and the losses from these attacks are expected to be $1 trillion in 2019. Now, from this number, if we only just take email fraud out, the losses are over $40 billion with only 4 billion email users. Now, now that we understand the impact email really has on cyber threats globally, let's briefly first look at how email started, the history of email, and then move on to how we can leverage DMARC. So moving along, back in the 60s, there was one-to-one electronic messaging. Now, this was when computers were very rare and expensive, and they were only used in closed environments, for example, research labs. So this one-to-one electronic messaging is what evolved into SMTP protocol. Now, this is the protocol which defines how multiple users on a network can communicate with one another. Now, this was introduced to be used in local network environments. So again, the emphasis was on reliability instead of security. Since, you know, it's a local environment and you know there, the goal was to make sure that the message was delivered to the intended receiver. Now, here's a simple flow diagram of how SMTP works, just very simply. A computer is connected to an SMTP server from which their emails are sent and received. Now, your computer will initiate to this SMTP server each time an email is being sent. And that server will then look for the receiver's SMTP server over the internet and deliver the email there. And then the receiver, obviously, they use proper IMAP protocol to view the email. So now there's a problem with this. The SMTP protocol, it places emphasis on reliability, not security. So there is no way of verifying and authenticating where the email really came from. So this protocol is still used over the internet to send and receive emails. Now, this is where when internet was first introduced, everyone got an email address. Now, this gave advertisers a new route to exploit, and this is when spam first started, which is an influx of unwanted information and emails. Now, because of this, because the core email protocol doesn't have any mechanism for authenticating, so it became common for the spam emails to spoof or impersonate someone else's domain to gain trust of their targets by misleading them. For let's say, for example, if an attacker may spoof Amazon store's email domain and sending out a promotional email. So, or again, there's this next example, which is the BEC fraud, which is business email compromise, and this actually happens quite a lot. And this is when, let's say, an employee gets an email from the CEO or from the accounting department to wire transfer some cash into a bank account, which is obviously fake. And then the employee would again trust the email and the wire transfer money because the email from address would say the CEO's email or the accounting department's email, and that person wouldn't be aware of this fraud and how easy it is to spoof someone's email domain. Now, to prevent this from happening, now there are 3 DNS records, which are SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. SPF is Sender Policy Framework, DKIM, Domain Keys Identified Mail, and DMARC, which is Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance. Now, let's go through them one by one. Now, the SPF right here, it lets you authorize IP addresses to send email on behalf of your domain. So I'll play this video here so you can get a better understanding of this. So here we go.
SPF, the Sender Policy Framework, was the first protocol designed for an email sender to authorize their messages. Let's first look at what the problem was. As you may know, SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, emphasizes reliability instead of security. This protocol is used for email communication over the internet, with no way to verify where the email originated from. SPF is a simple DNS text record that helps email admins to define what IP addresses are authorized to send email on behalf of their domains. The receiving mail server does a DNS query on the email domain to look at the SPF record. From here, it then matches the IP addresses listed on the SPF record and the origination IP address of the email. If they match, the email goes in the inbox. If they don't, then it will be marked as spam. And that is SPF in a minute.
Yes. So now that we go through the video, let's go through how this SPF record works. So SPF is a simple TXT record in your DNS that authorizes IP address again to send email on behalf of your domain. Now it has a number of ways that you can authorize IPs and the subnets and their networks. Now you can see some of these mechanisms here. So the first one you see here is the A mechanism, which means the A record, which is the IP address of the domain, is allowed to send emails. Now the domain on which you configure this IP address, the A record is the IP address of that domain. Now you can also see the second and third one, which is the IPv4 and IPv6 addresses. This is so you can maybe specify a certain IP address to authorize sending emails. Okay. Yes, so the last one here, as you can see, that's the MX tag, which authorizes the MX record of the domain to send emails. Let's say if you have example.com and your MX on MX record on that domain is mx.example.com, so that host or that domain, that IP of that will be authorized to send email. Now, next here, you can see the include tag, which again, this authorizes, let's say, sendgrid.com. So this authorizes the SPF record of the domain SendGrid to send emails on behalf of your domain. So what you're essentially doing is you're including someone else's SPF record in your SPF record. This is what this means. And the last tag here, the all, which this refers to IP addresses that are not listed in the SPF record. Now, this all tag is always used at the end. This is always used with a qualifier, and you can see the 4 different types of qualifiers down here, which are you know, the plus sign, the hyphen, the tilde, and the question mark sign here. Now, what these tags do is the plus sign, we don't recommend using it. If you write plus all, that basically authorizes all other IP addresses that are not listed here to also send email on your behalf. That sort of takes the point of SPF away. So the hyphen, the minus sign here, that's the hard fail. Now, this means that you're saying you are not authorizing any other IPs other than the ones that you have specified or listed on your SPF. Now, the next one here is the tilde sign, which means soft fail, which is also not authorizing any of the other IPs. But this is a soft fail, so you do this in the case maybe if you're not sure that all the IPs that you have authorized are yours. So after that, the last one here, that's the question mark, which is neutral. And this does nothing. This basically tells the receiving server, don't place any action. So we don't suggest using the question mark modifier. So when your SPF record is configured properly, this is what happens essentially. So a sender will send an email, across the email will go from the internet to the receiver's inbound server, and the receiver's receiving email server will do a DNS lookup to see your SPF record and look at what IPs you have authorized. And from that, it will match the IP addresses on your SPF to the IP that the email originated from, and then it will verify that this is either authenticated or this is not. So it will mark it as spam, or the email will go to inbox. Now, SPF record. So in conclusion, the SPF is basically authorizing IP addresses to send email on your behalf. Now, there's an issue here, that is someone can still spoof your IP address and still pretend to be you. So in this case, what do you do? Now, for this, to address this, DKIM came into play. Now, DKIM is domain keys identified mail, which was introduced by combining 2 existing frameworks, which was enhanced domain keys by Yahoo and the identified mail by Cisco. So DKIM is a digital signature on emails that's signed by your email service provider. And I'll play this video here for you for a better understanding of DKIM. So here we go.
DKIM, domain keys identified mail, was framed to enable digital signatures on emails, which help to verify its integrity. We know that SPF authorizes IP addresses to send email on behalf of a domain, but an IP address can be spoofed, which would allow forged emails to pass the SPF check. This makes the emails look genuine. To solve this, DKIM was introduced. This enabled your mail server to digitally sign your emails before they were sent out. If by any means the message gets changed in transit, the signature will be removed automatically. Even if someone forwarded your email with contents changed, the signature will not survive. In short, he authorizes who can send an email on behalf of the mail. DKIM is the integrity of the message in the mail. And that is DKIM in a minute.
Okay, so this video, this framework, the DKIM framework, is built upon public-private key pairs to be used for signing, digitally signing your outgoing messages. Now, when an email is sent by an authorized user, the outbound mail server, which is your sending email server, it uses the private key to generate a digital signature and insert it into the header. Now, the public key is used by the receiving mail server to verify that signature, and if it matches, then the receiving mail server knows that the email is genuine and it is not spoofed. So let's just go to the flow right here. So when you send an email out, you're sending MX server, your mail exchange server. It uses the private key to digitally sign your email. And when the email goes to the internet to the receiving mail server, it does a DNS lookup and looks at your public key to verify that your signature is authorized. Now, after that verification, if the signature matches, the email will go in the inbox folder, and if it doesn't match, the email will go again in the junk folder, obviously, because it's not authorized. So with this in place, spoofing can now be eliminated, but there is still one more issue. Now, the issue here is there's no way for a sender of an email to verify and check his SPF and DMARC records were enabled properly. There's no way to know if on the receiving end what is happening. So to address this issue, in 2014, these technology leaders came together and developed the framework of DMARC. Now, the purpose of this was to enable email senders to publish policies that the receiving mail server should chase when receiving an unauthenticated email. So with this, the sender of an email can tell the receiver what action to take place if SPF and DKIM fail. Now, it also enabled the email receivers to send back reports to the sender on what happened with the authentication tag, the SPF and the DKIM. Did they pass, and what action was placed on the email that it received? Yes. All right. So I think my voice might be breaking a little bit here. So. The internet connection. So let's move on. I will show you the DMARC video for a better understanding of the concept of DMARC. So let's play this here.
DMARC, wording-based message authentication. Reporting conformance as a framework is for two things. One, allow the sender to tell the receiver what to do in case of a forged email. Two, allow the email receiver to send back reports on the authentication checks and the action it applied onto emails. You may ask, what are authentication checks? Let's take a closer look. DMARC is built upon two existing frameworks, SPF and DKIM. SPF stands for the Center Policy Framework. This authorizes which IP addresses launches emails on your behalf. DKIM, also known as Domain Keys Identified Mail, enables digital signatures on emails. This helps to verify your message. These are the two checks performed by the receiving mail server, and that is far limited.
Yes, right. So now that we understand what really DMARC does, now, as I said earlier, there were policies you can set with your DMARC record that you want your email receivers to place on emails that fail the SPF and DKIM check. That's the point of the DMARC record, which is you're telling your email receivers what to do in case of receiving a forged email, a spoofed email. So now these three policies you can see here in red, they are none, quarantine, and reject. Now, all the three policies are essential for proper implementation of DMARC. Now, what I mean by this proper implementation is through the DMARC reports. Now, as I said earlier, remember that the receivers send you back reports on your SPF and DKIM. So these policies, they help you with the, let's say, the first one, it helps you look at those reports and enhance or fix issues that you might have in your SPF and DKIM records, and make sure that they're working and enabled properly with all your genuine email sources. So as I said, the none policy is when you tell your email receivers to not place any action on emails that fail SPF and DKIM. This we call the monitoring mode. Now, this is when you look at the DMARC reports to get all your genuine email sources and configure and improve your SPF and DKIM records with all those genuine sources. After that, after you have done that, you move on to what we call the quarantine policy. Now, this is where you tell your email receivers to still accept your email when it fails SPF and DKIM, but mark it as spam. So here you see the impact the policy has on your genuine emails. As in, let's say if your genuine emails are being marked as spam, then you know your SPF and or DKIM records haven't covered all your genuine sources. Or let's say there's a misconfiguration in it which you need to fix. So after you see all the issues and fix them, and when you're sure that your SPF and DKIM are configured and working properly, then you go to the reject policy of DMARC, which is when you're telling the email receiver that my SPF and my DKIM are now configured and working perfectly. So any email that fails the SPF and DKIM check, do not accept the email at all. So that's the purpose of these three policies. So very simply put, DMARC helps to spoof-proof your domain. Now, it will eliminate spoof mail attempts of your domain from the intended receiver. This is a very, very, very simple flow here diagram that shows what happens without DMARC. The email receiver here cannot differentiate between genuine and spoofed email. And then, of course, with DMARC, the receiver of your emails will only receive your genuine emails, will not receive the spoofed emails. So this will eliminate spoofing. Now, this scenario is achieved by, again, proper implementation of the DMARC framework, which is, again, configuring your SPF and DKIM properly through the DMARC reports. Now, I want to dive in a little bit into what the DMARC reports are and how we use them. So there are two types of these DMARC reports that our email receivers send back to us. Now there's over here you see the aggregate report, and then there's the forensic report. Now let's go to content in these reports, and then we'll see the purpose of both of these and how to use them. So the aggregate report here, it's received every 24 hours, and it contains information related to your authentication checks, which are SPF and DKIM, whether they failed or what was the issue with them, along with where your email was generated from, which is the IP address from where your email was sent, and it also shows the total amount of emails the receiver received within those past 24 hours. Now here on the right, you can see the forensic report. It is received when someone attempts to spoof your email domain, which means that the SPF and DKIM authentication checks failed. Now, when these checks fail, then someone definitely tried to spoof your domain, obviously. So for every email that fails, both the SPF and DKIM check, a forensic report is generated and sent. Now, these forensic reports, they contain the header from address, the header to address, the subject of the email, and in some cases, the body of the email too. Now, from the content of these emails, you can now begin to identify the purpose of each report. So here, the purpose of the aggregate report is to help you enhance your SPF and DKIM configurations. As this contains, again, the result of the two authentication checks and tells you where your email come from, so you can identify your genuine email sending points and then authorize them through the SPF and DKIM. Now, the purpose of the forensic report, now this is to identify if, again, this email is sent when SPF and DKIM fail. So this is a spoof attempt. Now this will, the purpose of this is to see if the email contains any malicious links or content that you might need to take action on, because this is generated when an email domain is forged. So with this, so the forensic report is for forensic analysis to see if the email contains any malicious content, and from that you can take action on it. Now, I'll show you a sample of the aggregate report just to see how the actual raw aggregate report looks like. So this is what it is. And I'm sure most of us get confused when trying to read and understand it. This is where we recommend using an online platform to analyze these reports. And what these platforms do is they parse or let's say translate these reports into a graphical, human readable format where they categorize your outgoing emails. Now, most of the platforms out there, they categorize these emails into 4 categories, which are the DMARC compliant emails, the DMARC non-compliant emails, the forwarded emails, and the threat emails. Now, simply put, let's say the DMARC compliant emails are emails that have one of the authentication checks, SPF or DKIM. Keep in mind, I forgot to mention that for DMARC to pass, only one of the checks need to fail. One of the checks need to pass, SPF or DMARC or DKIM. So the second category here, which is a DMARC non-compliant, this shows the misconfigurations within your SPF or the DKIM record. The reports here will show these misconfigurations would be your syntax with your syntax, or let's say in the case of DKIM, your digital signature is enabled on your email server, but you haven't published the public key on your DNS for the receiver to verify the private key. It will be shown on DMARC non-compliant emails. Now, the next category here, forwarded emails. This category shows you emails that were automatically forwarded by your email receiver. For example, if I send an email, let's say to a client, and he has a rule in his mailbox to forward all my emails to his private email address, that will be shown here in the forwarded category. So these are the automated forwarded emails. This, by the way, is where you should make sure that your DKIM, the digital signature, is passing, because the point of DKIM is to pass, to authorize your, point of DKIM is to verify your message. So when it's being forwarded without the email contents being changed, the DKIM passes. So, and the last category here, you can see these are our emails that failed both SPF and DKIM checks. These are obviously the spoof attempts, the emails that are genuinely trying to attempt. So this information, 4 categories here. This is what we get from the aggregate report. Now, this helps us in implementing DMARC properly, which is going from DMARC policy, which we call the monitoring mode, all the way to the reject policy. Now, after analyzing aggregate reports and implementing DMARC properly until the reject policy, then we start looking into and analyzing the forensic reports. Now, just to state again, the forensic reports are received per spoofed or impersonated email. Now, for example, if I send 1,000 emails were sent, let's say impersonating your email mail, then 1,000 forensic reports will be received. This is where you can view the email header and body, and then identify there's any malicious content that may need to be reported and also possibly taken down. So this is why we use the forensic report. Now, this is how we analyze both the forensic and aggregate report. Here you can see a sample of the forensic report, where this is from our DMARC portal, which parses the forensic report. You can see here the from email, the to email, the subject, and the body. And you see here the aggregate report at the bottom. This aggregate report belongs to this email on which the forensic report was sent. So this is how we should move. We should implement DMARC properly first enabling the aggregate reports to enhance our SPF and DKIM records so that we verify all our genuine sources. After that, we should enable forensic reporting, which will then show us all the other sources that are trying to spoof us or trying to impersonate us. Now, just as does anyone have any questions at this point? Let's see if there's any questions. I am ready to answer them, or else I'll go into our DMARC portal and show you a little more in depth of how these reports are parsed. So if there's no questions, okay, thank you. So this here is the 4 categories that I talked about earlier. This is the information of our this is our DMARC 360 domains. Now you can see here compliant emails are all going from Google. That's what we're using. SPF and DKIM are passing. If you click here, you will see the details. Now every single email is going through here, google.com. DKIM here, you can see the result and the domain match is passing. So DKIM is passing and the SPF is passing. So hence this is a DMARC category. Now, if we move on to the DMARC non-compliant emails, again, we don't have any of these. This is what shows you the misconfigurations in your SPF and DKIM. Since we have already implemented our own DMARC up to the reject level, we don't have any we don't have any reports that are showing us any misconfiguration. And after that, you can see here the forwarded emails, which from SendGrid. Again, our SPF and DKIM both are passing. We've included the SendGrid IPs on our SPF, and that's what we're using. So here you can see the domain result, DKIM result is passed, SPF result is passed here. That's going through. These are forwarded. This is where you need to, when you're doing the implementation, this is where you need to take a look at which are the threat emails. By the way, just to reiterate, in the DMARC none policy, this is what you should look at to identify maybe some of the genuine sources that are not configured properly will end up in the threat policy and then has to be impacted by your DMARC policy. So that's the purpose of the none policy, to see these reports and look at all your genuine sources and authorize them. So here we can see the unknown sources. If we click on them, this is the IP they were sent from. Obviously, the action applied on those emails on the receiver side was reject here because our DMARC policy is reject. The SPF and DKIM both failed, so these are obviously spoof IPs. Now, if you click on one of these IPs, we can see here the reputation of that IP. Let's say now this is here, it's the IP is located in China. The reputation of this is poor, and this is here, right here, listed as a blacklisted IP. So this is already a known malicious IP which is trying to spoof us. So we have blocked their attempt of spoofing us. So this is how you look at the aggregate reports and then verify all your genuine sources. After which you can then start going into forensic reports to identify again malicious content to be taken down. Now, if there's any more questions, I am done. How you differentiate DMARC? Okay, so there's a question there that says how you differentiate DMARC from MS, EOP, and Mimecast. So yeah, let's just check. Keep posting questions here. We'll do our best to answer. Oh, wow. And key mechanisms are very well explained. We want to ask is that emails and afraid everyone is very properly which is asking again, it's a long question which we're talking about how it's saying email spoofing is is an old thing, and people have already implemented this. I would argue that point that DMARC is still, if you go on our website, you'll see the DMARC adoption rate, which means how many really implemented DMARC. We have the global adoption rate, and it's actually still pretty low. So DMARC hasn't been implemented. So I would argue that it's still a huge issue, and email spoofing especially, it may be an old thing. The problem is it's very, very, very easy to do. There's online tools available where you can just simply write the email address for that you want the email receiver to see, the from address, and from that you can phish them. Now I would say here so for this presentation it was out of scope because this was all about DMARC and how to implement DMARC properly, and this was more about your SPF record, your DKIM record, and your DMARC. There's still a bit of confusion out there. There's a lot of people, that we have spoken to, and a lot of situations we have seen where a lot of people have implemented the DMARC record, but they go straight to the reject policy without making sure that SPF and DKIM are working properly. So with that, their genuine emails start getting rejected at the receiver end. So the purpose of this was to explain the DMARC implementation process. Is it available?
Yeah, see, basically, it's not a appliance or not any, let's say we don't need to install any hardware or software in your environment. Okay, basically this is the only the text record which we need to configure properly in your DNS, and based on the reports which receive on our portal, or you can receive the report yourself, and then you can decide how you can tune your policy, SPF policy or DKIM is properly signing or not.
I have one question, like one malicious sender sending email using Gmail and sending spam email to my 1,000 clients. See, with email, so Gmail is again managed by Google. They already have their DMARC, SPF, and DKIM in place. So they're already managing this. If it's a Gmail address, then the liability falls on Google themselves. So over there, if again you're using G Suite and you have your own domain, then DMARC comes into play. DMARC is for anyone sending an email from a domain that they own. So this is where DMARC comes. And definitely we can support you to in preventing.
The other question is how you differentiate DMARC from MES, Microsoft, I think Exchange, and Minecraft. Online exchange. Okay.
Yeah.
See, basically the Microsoft Exchange and Minecraft, they also provide these different services. Okay. So we already discussed that there are a lot of other vendors are available in the market who provide this portal where you send the reports there and pass the reports there. Okay. And we have the same platform here, which we developed here. Okay, and in this platform again, giving these reports, and we pass these reports and show in the graphical format. So these are the different vendors available in the market. Almost they are receiving all these aggregated report, and then they show the result in a different graphical way.
All right, so this here it says I'm using DKIM and DMARC and SPF. Tested on your site. It shows valid SPF, but it is set to soft fail. Okay, and for DMARC it says it has valid DMARC policy. But the policy is set to none. Yes, see on our website, why we have done this is because when the DMARC policy is set to none, that means you're telling your email receivers your SPF and DMARC records haven't been configured properly yet with all your authorized email sources, all your genuine sources. So right now, this means you're in the monitoring mode of DMARC. This is why it's showing you red when you check your DMARC record, which is set to none. So with this implementation process, which by the way takes about 3 to 6 months, and with this implementation process, you go from the none policy, you monitor the reports, fix your records, you go to the quarantine policy where you see the impact it has, if at all, on your emails, and then you go to the reject policy. So this is why this is what it's showing on our website. I hope I answered your question. All right. So, right. So again, anyone has any questions about SPF, DKIM, or DMARC, or the implementation process, anything to do with email security, email spoofing, please write your questions there and we're available to answer them. The record is there since over a year, and I monitored the emails, which I received too, but wasn't doing any. Okay. So you were lacking the full knowledge. So you were getting the report, but you weren't taking any action because I guess okay. So what we can do is, by the way, you can contact us.
Let's say अभी जिस तरह अब्दुल्ला डिफाइन कर रहे थे कि डीमार्क डिफरेंट वो स्टेजेस होती हैं जिसमें नन से शुरू किया जाता है, रिजेक्ट पे लेके जाते हैं। तो नन का बेसिकली मकसद वही है कि आपने मॉनिटरिंग करनी होती है, आपने मेल स्ट्रीम अपनी चेक करनी होती है, मेरी मेल कहाँ से जनरेट हो रही है, मेरी जो इनबाउंड से मेरे अपने जो मेलें निकल रही हैं वो प्रॉपर ऑथेंटिकेट होके जा रही है, एसपीएफ कॉन्फ़िगर है। मेरी थर्ड पार्टी तो ऐसी नहीं है कि लेट्स से मार्केटिंग मेल मेरी वहां से जाती है। उन सबको आपने अपने जो नन मोड होता है उस पीरियड के अंदर आप वो आइडेंटिफाई करते हो नन पॉलिसी रख के। नन पे ये होता है कि आपकी जितनी मेल होते हैं उन पे कोई एक्शन परफॉर्म नहीं होता, वो एज इट इज डिलीवर्ड होती है, सिर्फ आपको उसकी फीडबैक मिल रही होती है कि आपकी ईमेल इस तरह डिलीवर हुई है, तो उसका रिजल्ट एसपीएफ का और डीकेएम का ये रहा कि लेट्स वो पास हुआ या फेल हुआ। तो उसकी जो एग्रीगेटेड रिपोर्ट बैक पे आती है, तो उस एग्रीगेटेड रिपोर्ट को देखने के बाद फिर आपकी पॉलिसी के अंदर आपके ये एसपीएफ और डीकेएम फाइन ट्यून हो जाते हैं। अगर कोई इसमें इश्यूज रह जाते हैं तो उनको साथ साथ वो करेक्ट किया जाता है, कोई आईपीज इंक्लूड किए जाते हैं, कुछ डोमेन्स इंक्लूड करवाई जाती है। उसके बाद दोबारा वीक का डाटा देखा जाता है, उसके बाद दोबारा एनालाइज किया जाता है उस रिपोर्ट्स को। उसके बाद फिर जो एक्शन होता है वो ये होता है कि फिर आपकी जब कंप्लायंस लेवल आप करते हैं, आप अराउंड 90 प्लस 95 प्लस अगर जा रहे हैं डीकेएम और एसपीएफ के अंदर, नाउ यू आर रेडी फॉर द नेक्स्ट पॉलिसी।
यस।
तो उसके बाद फिर क्वारंटीन पॉलिसी जो होती है वो आप स्लोली उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करवाते हो। आप के अंदर दिमाग में एक टैग आता है जिसको पीसीटी वैल्यू बोलते हैं, परसेंटेज होती है। उस परसेंटेज को आप डिफाइन करवाते हो। लेट्स से आप उसको 5% या 10% के ऊपर रह के अपनी डीमार्क की पॉलिसी क्वारंटीन पे लेके जाते हो। 10% का मीन है कि लेट से अगर मैंने 100 मेल भेजी तो उसमें से 10 मेलों पे मेरी ये पॉलिसी बैक करेगी और बाकी 90 मेल से ऊपर मेरी जो प्रीवियस पॉलिसी है, जैसे अगर मैं क्वारंटीन लगाता हूँ तो मेरी प्रीवियस पॉलिसी है, तो बाकी 90 ईमेलों पे 90 ईमेल पे नन पॉलिसी अप्लाई होगी। तो इस तरह लिखा जाता है कि क्या इम्पैक्ट आ रहा है क्वारंटीन के अंदर, और इस वैल्यू को ग्रेजुअली फिर इंक्रीज किया जाता है रिपोर्ट्स देख के। ये वैल्यू जब 100% पहुंच जाती है उसके बाद स्ट्रेट अवे आप अपने आप को लेवल ले जा सकते हैं।
जी, यस। Super. See the software in SPF. Now, to get technical, so on the receiving mail server, there are different rules that people have applied to how to handle emails that have SPF soft fail or hard fail. Usually, they can say with soft fail, let's say they can set their own rule that any SPF that has soft fail qualifier, we will still accept the email or we will put it in the spam folder. So it depends on the receiving side what configuration they have. So software is fine, but we would say once your source to have key, agar wo configure ho gayi SPF pe, we would say then put the hard fail qualifier, jo hyphen hai, jo dash. So yes. How is your license model works for the service? Is superb subscription? Yes, it is so for the question by Mr. Hassan Kamal. So our product, yes, it's a subscription-based product. So basically, you just have to configure your DMARC record with our email address. We will give you access to our online platform where you can then go and look at your the DMARC reports. And if you do need our help with implementation, we can again provide that too. And yes, it's a subscription-based model.
Okay, and then the other question is this one. You are asking about relation with the O365. Yes, let's say if your emails are configured on the Outlook, you are using O365. We will guide you properly how you can configure your DKIM keys there.
Yes.
And how you can configure this whole SPF and the post on the portal.
So any other questions, anyone? Anything to do with SPF, DKIM, DMARC? We're here to clear out all the concepts. Again, if you would like to ask us more questions, you can always contact us at support@dmarc360.com. So I will type here to everyone. You can reach us here at this email. Do you have any UAE-based customers? Yes, we do have UAE-based customers. We do have some banks and some financial institutions, some hospitals, and a few customers in UAE. Also, our online platform, the DMARC platform, we have it hosted in the UAE. So we have that going for us too.
So we also hosted this platform in Saudi also. Saudi Arabia have an only dedicated server. It is inside the Saudi environment. So your all reports, all the emails go to the Saudi server only. So same model is a UAE is available for the Bahrain. We are using here Amazon services in the Bahrain, and our upcoming is for the Pakistan only. So we have a one server only dedicated for Pakistan.
China. Yeah. So one question for Mr. Shahid here. What is the best possible way to train people to catch phishing emails?
Okay, then see, for this, definitely these are some awareness sessions we need to conduct. And based on the user, let's different techniques, how you can detect if phishing email is coming. So yes, we will make a session, and we will, inshallah, in the future, we will do it.
You want to ask? Can we clear the question more? You have a local tenant fee, like how fast the mail delivery is? I did not understand. Maybe if you can clarify a little more what you mean there, Mr. Hassan Kamal. We don't have, if you're asking if you have a means, where's your client? Oh, we are hosted on the Microsoft Azure in UAE. So this is it. This is the time we had. So I would like to again thank you all for attending this. Again, if you have any more questions, if you need to ask us anything, you can always contact us at support@dmarc360.com. So I would like to give it back to Mr. Shahzad if he wants to have some closing remarks.
Hello, thanks a lot Abdullah and Shahid. आप लोगों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आपने टाइम निकाला, आपने हमारे मेंबर्स के लिए सेशन किया. It is also being recorded, so it will be there for the people who missed the session, and there will be a lot of people who will be watching it. So I hope that it was useful for everybody. So inshallah we'll keep doing some sessions like that. Abdullah, did you also show them your website? I think on the website you also have some tools, right?
On
Yeah, yeah.
the website, yes, we have on the website here.
Have a quickly just show them the tool. I think there's a way to check from the website.
So on the website, our homepage here, you can see is your domain protected, where let's say we put DMARC360.com, and from that it shows you your SPF record. We have it here configured on heart fail qualifier, which is why it's showing SPF is done. And with DMARC, our policy here is reject. The emails here are the email here, you can see the RUA tag. This is the aggregate report that I was talking about. It's going to RUA@DMARC360.com. This is our portal's email address to receive.
In the same portal, you can see the adoption rate for the global banks. Right now, it's only for the global banks. But
So
in
here.
future, we are coming with the all domains in the globally for all the industries.
Yeah.
So
Here
then you can see
the
the adoption rate of the DMARC. So it's, you can see it's gradually increasing day by day.
yes.
Okay. So that's why we also encouraging here all the customers to go and implement this DMARC from their side, and also check the DMARC record on their email gateways, because checking the DMARC record means everybody then get the benefit from the DMARC.
Yes. Yeah. So
And we also have the info series here. All the videos are
yeah, if you
posted.
would like to check again, I do apologize. The voice might be a little too low during the presentation. So if anyone wants to look at our videos again, they're right here in the info series. You can look at, we have other videos too on other, videos explaining the policies of DMARC and how you use it for, let's say, inactive domains. So there's quite a few videos you can check out here for more information. So again, thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Abdullah. Thank you, Shahid.
Yes.
It was really nice for both of you to spare some time.
Yes.
Thanks again.
No problem. All right. Thank you, everyone. All right.
Oh, yeah,
Bye-bye.